Good evening, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Coaching for Coaches. I hope you are well. If you're watching this live, give me a yo in the chat. If you're watching on the replay, put replay in the chat. And as always, if and when you get a takeaway from this show, be sure to post it in the comments because then I know that you've got something from it. And Google once said that you're more likely to retain information that you write down than if you just hear it. So if for no other reason, when you get an insight on the show, make sure you put it in the chat box, or at the very least write it down so that you actually go away and apply it. So today I want to share with you three coaching questions. This is going to be something that I'm probably going to do a kind of a series of episodes on. I want to share with you three coaching questions, types of questions that have been really, really powerful for me. But before I do, I want to kind of share with you that many of you, especially in our Master Coach community, will know that the way that we coach in Master Coach is very much in a kind of sequential, systematic fashion. So we work based on having prepared, pre-designed, pre-built coaching sessions, a bit like the way a driving instructor would have his or her lessons planned out for that individual, because if that person's end outcome is to pass their test, there is obviously a very sequential, systematic process to do that. If a person is in the gym and they want to lose weight, there are obviously some certain specific things that they've got to do, right? The person wants to run a marathon, they've got to do certain things in a certain order. They've got to be able to run 1 mile before they can run 2 and run 3 and run 4. So the way that we coach goes against very much the old way of coaching, which is the coach based on kind of insight, which I've found from experience is very high pressured, and it's very much an advanced coaching skill. Whereas the way that we do it is more foundational. Plus, what it does is it increases the likelihood of the client getting the transformation they ultimately want, because you, the coach, then don't have to think, oh my God, what is the next magical question that I can ask to unlock this person's thinking? Instead, you have a pre-designed, pre-built question sheet to pull from, right? So I remember coaching in the very beginning, and I had a handful of pay-as-you-go clients, and people would just randomly message me out of the blue saying they wanted to cancel, and hey, can I pause my coaching for a few months? By the way, if you ever get somebody say that, most of the time that means that they're canceling and they're not coming back, from my experience. But all those things changed for me when I started to coach in this kind of systematic approach. So what I want to do is I want to share with you three questions that, if I'm ever doing a kind of one-off, one-to-one with a person, these are three questions I invariably always lean on. Always lean on these three questions, and I found them to be incredibly powerful. I think these are questions that you are going to want to consider for yourself. You may have heard me ask them to you before, but they're incredibly powerful, and I think you'll get a lot from them for yourself and also for your coaching clients as well. So I like to use, because the inner child in me is alive and well, I like to use symbolism. I like to use kind of objects to kind of amplify points and to make coaching more fun and more playful. So the three kind of symbols I want to share with you for this coaching session are the magic wand, the crystal ball, and the rocking chair. So the magic wand, the crystal ball, and the rocking chair. So the first question that I love as a coach is, if you had a magic wand and you waved it and your life was perfect in every single way, what would it look like? What would you see? What would you feel? What would you hear? If you could wave a magic wand, I often get specific. If you wave a magic wand, what would your coaching business look like? If you could wave a magic wand. If you could wave a magic wand, what would your health look like? If you could wave a magic wand, what would your relationship with your spouse be like, feel like, look like? If you could wave a magic wand, how much money would you have in your bank account? So it's really, really a powerful question, because when you add in the kind of symbolism of a magic wand, it presupposes that a person's got to kind of put on their childlike hat, right? Because magic is often, associated with illusions. And a lot of people that are realists might hear this and say, well, isn't this stupid? Because surely we should be realistic. And I always say, on one hand, I agree. Goals should have an element of realism. But I come from a school of thought that the purpose of a goal is not actually to obtain the goal. I believe the purpose of the goal is to make you grow. So what that means is, if you had a goal to have 100 coaching clients in your program, and realistically you wanted 10, if you aimed for 100 and actually thought through what would you have to do strategically to make 100 happen. So you can't just say I want 100 and then just kind of sit there like The Secret and just hope for the best. But if you actually plan for 100 and go, who would I have to be to have 100 clients? Like, how would I have to show up? Like, what would my character have to be like? How would I have to live? What kind of state would I need to have 100 versus 10? What kind of mindset would I need? What kind of level of focus would I need? What kind of mentor would I need to get me to 100? Who would I need to help me? Who do I know that's already got 100, right? So when you think in that way, it expands your thinking. And it's more exciting then, because you know that that goal is probably impossible. And therefore, it means that it's going to challenge it. So what that means invariably is, if you aim for 100, then actually do the strategic plan to make 100 happen, and you fail. If you're anything like many of my clients, you'll fail and end up higher than 10. And then that means that you won anyway, because your realistic goal was 10. Goes against the train of thought that we're told as adults. But as kids, you remember, you were kind of, probably when you were really little, you were asked questions like, what do you want to be when you grow up? So I'm saying, go back to asking yourself questions the way that you did when you were a kid, and you're going to expand your thinking. And like I said, the purpose of the goal is not to hit the goal. So if you're saying to me right now, your goal is 7 paying clients, I'm saying treble it. If you've never read 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, highly recommend that book, because the book is really about 10X in your thinking, your health, your life, everything. And it goes against many of our limiting beliefs that say, play small, play it safe. Don't go for the big thing, because if you fail, you'll feel disappointed. I'm here to tell you, the biggest failure feeling I've ever got is playing it small. It's like hitting a goal that was like not really a sexy goal, versus going for a goal and missing and feeling proud that you had a go at it. I'm a big basketball fan. I watched the basketball last night. Boston Celtics played the Miami Heat, and the game was down to the last 2 or 3 seconds, and a player for Miami called Jimmy Butler took a shot, and it would have been like won the game, like won the whole thing, and he missed. But the reason why Jimmy Butler is one of the best players in the league is because he has the courage to take a risk. He could have taken the safe option. They might have scored. They might not. But there's a reason why he's perceived as to be one of the best in the game, is because he takes more risks. He's trying to fulfill his true potential. He's not going for the safe option. Doesn't always work out. But if the purpose of the goal is to grow, then ultimately in the long run, you are going to win. So first question is, if you could wave a magic wand, what would you want if you could be, do, have anything? Second question is really a bit of a backwards motivational question. I've had people often say to me, Miles, this question you've asked me is kind of not really. I'm not excited after this question, but they always say to me, it's probably the most important question you've ever asked me. So the second question I want to ask you is, and this is probably my favorite coaching question, to be fair, because it's really strategic in the way that it's put together. So the second question is, Imagine that you had a magic crystal ball. So imagine you got this magic crystal ball, and in the magic crystal ball, it can show us the future. And let's say that there's a point in your future, let's say 12 months from now, and you've set yourself a clear goal for your business, for your coaching, and the crystal ball can show us 12 months into the future. And when we look into that crystal ball, we can see that you didn't obtain your goal. In fact, you got nowhere near it, like crashed and burned, right? But the magic crystal ball can also show you all the reasons why it didn't work out. And specifically, what it shows us is that there are some things that you didn't do that you should have done. And there's some things that you did that you shouldn't have done that were ultimately the things that cost you achieving your goals and dreams. So the question that I ask is, what's in your magic crystal ball? If you're really, really honest and you're really, really radically honest with yourself, what's in your magic crystal ball? And I often get answers like, I didn't do the marketing that I should have done. I didn't get the mentor. I didn't join the mastermind group. I just did loads of busy stuff without knowing if it was the right thing to do. Like, I listened to my friends who told me you can't make that work, like naysayers. Wasn't in the right environment. I spent too much time working from home in our back bedroom and didn't get out enough. And, all this, didn't go to events and network and meet people, didn't eat the right foods, went to bed too late, spent too much time looking at other people on social media and then feeling bad about myself. All of these things are examples of things I've thought or other people have said to me. So when you get really honest with yourself in that way and go, what's in my magic crystal ball? The next part of that is to then go, great. Now that you've been radically honest with yourself, what are you going to do about it? What can you do for each of those risks to prevent those things from happening? And then you've got to write out, what have I got to do to make sure that those things that now I know, because I truly believe that we pretty much know, I can second guess 12 months from now, the things within my control. If it were all on me and in my control, I'm not talking about pandemics and stuff, but if there were goals of mine that were fully in my control and 12 months from now I didn't hit them, I'd know why. Didn't eat the right foods, didn't do the right things with this, not meditating enough, not working out, not doing the right marketing activity, didn't have the right mentors. I could tell you. And you could tell me yours too. Yeah. So magic crystal ball, great, powerful coaching question. Third, final one, rocking chair. One of the things that I'm a big believer in is really thinking about what you want for your whole life and thinking about the question, what would you regret if you were at the end of your life and you hadn't done it? So the rocking chair question is this: if you were sat in a rocking chair at the end of your life and you were reflecting on your life, at this point of your life right now, if it were the end, at this point today, if it were the end, what would be something that you haven't done yet that you would regret if you didn't do it before it was too late? So imagining that you're old and grey and there's something that you didn't do, but in your heart you wish you'd done. That Bronnie Ware, I think, wrote the book The Regrets of the Dying, and one of them, I think, is didn't go for a life that was by design and was my dream life. Played it safe, right? So what would be something you would regret if you didn't do it? And think about the answers and write them down, and then from there, just tick them off. One by one. It's really important they're not just business related. Think about, maybe there's a relationship in your family maybe there's some unresolved conflict there. Maybe if you got a call tomorrow to say that person had passed away tragically, maybe you regret that, for example. So go deep on that one, because it's a really powerful question if you really spend the time on it. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed today's show. Hope this has been a powerful one. I hope you've done the work and actually wrote the questions down. Hope you've taken the time to reflect on the answers. If you haven't, make sure you take some time away from the broadcast to do that. And as always, I hope you enjoyed it. Great to have you here. And I will see you on the next episode.